Since Sir Alex Ferguson's retirement in 2013, Manchester United has truly become a graveyard for managers, with none of his 6 successors lasting more than 3 years. From the chosen David Moyes to serial winners like Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, from fan favourite Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to the ambitious Erik ten Hag, there has been no shortage of managerial experience at Old Trafford. Yet, each of these managers has faltered, their reputations either damaged or destroyed at a decaying club that, for all its money and history, has done little in the last decade to deserve a place among England's elite. So, what lies behind this harsh reality of managing Manchester United? While Ten Hag enjoyed more patience than his predecessors, managing United comes with the challenge of managing the expectations of the club's board and its fans. In many ways, his tenure epitomized the chaotic reality of post-Ferguson management. A tough first transfer window, early struggles, a back-to-basics approach, a promising revival, and a trophy win that fueled hope for a new beginning. However, once that early progress stalled, the team quickly spiraled back into disarray. When Ten Hag took charge in 2022, the club had just finished with its lowest ever Premier League points total of 58. He did well to guide them back into the Champions League, putting together a squad that functioned more cohesively both on and off the ball. Memorable wins over Barcelona in the Europa League and Newcastle in the Carabao Cup final led many fans to believe that their club was on the rise. And while there were concerning results, particularly against top sides, they were often overlooked due to the belief that Ten Hag, with another season to implement his vision, would discover a new path to improve the team. But that ultimately didn't happen. As time went on, it became increasingly difficult to define Ten Hag's game plan. He seemed content with combining components of various strategies without a clear sense of how they would fit together. While he touted United's potential to become the best transition team in the world, his attempts to enhance their attacking prowess often left their defense vulnerable, a trend that became apparent in his second season. His approach centered on dominating possession while pushing for quick, direct attacks. Unfortunately for United, this translated to asking its forwards, who struggled with pressing, to push high up the pitch, leaving a midfield lacking in running power to cover the resulting large gaps. This created significant space in midfield, as Ten Hag opted for a deep defensive line that was also left exposed. As a result, United's attacking style was often one-dimensional, capable of scoring on the break but lacking the defensive tools to cope when being countered themselves. Ten Hag also struggled to shift momentum when games slipped away, frequently making perplexing substitutions and placing key players in unfamiliar roles. An unexpected FA Cup triumph against Manchester City reminded the football world of his tactical prowess in one-off games. He quickly developed a misplaced sense of superiority, having also delivered the Carabao Cup in his first season, and rode on these trophy successes without providing a clear path forward in his press conferences. But the valid criticism of Ten Hag was about his side's performances, and the supporters who highlighted those trophy wins were overlooking the fact that the style of football being played was unsustainable for a club with title-winning ambitions. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, subscribe so that you don't miss out on our future videos. Ten Hag leaves United with a reasonable claim of being a quote-unquote successful manager given he won silverware, something 14 of his predecessors failed to do. In many ways, his tenure underlines the immense challenge of living up to the standards set by Sir Alex Ferguson and Sir Matt Busby before him. No club in England has won more top-flight titles than United's 20, but 18 of those were claimed by either Busby or Ferguson. Together, they account for 33 of United's 44 major trophies, while 20 of the club's 23 managers have failed to deliver a league title. Since 2013, United have also not been involved in a meaningful title race lasting into May, finishing in the top 4 only 5 times out of 11 seasons. That is because the club has spent too much of the last decade in stagnation, always moving 1 step forward and 2 steps back. This mirrors Liverpool's decline in the 1990s, not just in how quickly standards slipped, but in the naive belief that a little turbulence would soon be followed by a return to glory. But we all know of the 3-decade gap between Liverpool's 18th league title in 1990 and their 19th 3 decades later. While United are still far from approaching the 20-year mark, it has been 11 long years since their last Premier League title. And while Mourinho and Solskjaer may still boast of their second-place finishes in 2018 and 2021, those were among the most distant second-place finishes in English top-flight history. Right off the bat, taking the managerial role at Old Trafford sets a threshold that creates a lower acceptance for failure, especially under the immense weight of Sir Alex Ferguson's legacy. To watch our video about Manchester United's downfall and their decade of mismanagement, click the first link in the description or the card in the top right corner. In the high-stakes world of Manchester United, the atmosphere is charged with expectation and scrutiny, especially under the new ownership of Ineos. Jim Ratcliffe, head of the Ineos Group, has voiced significant concerns about the culture of mediocrity that has plagued the club during the Glazer family's tenure. He stressed that reversing this culture necessitated appointing the right personnel at every level of the organization, from the boardroom all the way to the dressing room. To that end, his recent moves to recruit former Manchester City executive Omar Berrada as CEO and Dan Ashworth from Newcastle as sporting director reflect his commitment to revitalizing the club's operations. However, as this new leadership structure begins to take shape, the pressure to deliver results for the fans is intensifying, particularly in light of their indecisiveness surrounding Ten Hag's dismissal. Berrada's recent address to the club's staff, where he set a target of reclaiming the Premier League title by 2028, coinciding with United's 150th anniversary, has stirred mixed feelings among supporters. It feels both underwhelming for a club of United's stature and overly optimistic considering the current state of the squad. The competitive landscape adds to the challenge. Manchester City have been crowned champions in 6 of the last 7 seasons. Meanwhile, clubs like Liverpool, Arsenal, Aston Villa, and even Chelsea seem better positioned to compete for titles in the immediate future. The contrasting successes of these rivals, some of which have spent just a fraction of United's budget, further emphasize that progress shouldn't be as difficult as United and their managers keep making it look. Unai Emery had an immediate impact at Aston Villa, with his work on the training pitch becoming evident within weeks. The same can be said for Enzo Maresca at Chelsea and Arne Slot at Liverpool. And while Ange Postecoglou is experiencing mixed results at Tottenham, no one is in any doubt as to what he is trying to achieve. To be the manager of Manchester United is to serve as the face of a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, striving to satisfy a global, multi-generational fan base. With hundreds of millions of football fans watching, impatience grows fast when the club appears stagnant. United have confirmed a deal for Ruben Amorim as their next manager, who has excelled at Sporting since joining the Portuguese Giants in 2020. That is the kind of appointment that should inspire optimism for the future. And while things may worsen before they improve, at least there is now a glimmer of hope at the club. For Amorim, however, this opportunity carries significant weight. Considering United's string of managerial failures since 2013, it could either elevate or tarnish his reputation forever. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more football news, stories, and insights. Also, don't forget to hit notifications so you never miss a beat. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.